Welcome to Add a Zero to Your Business Without the Hustle. I'm your speaker today, Stacey Hylen. I'm excited to have you here wherever you're calling in from the world and really help you take some steps in 2021 to grow your business without the burnout and hustle. So a little bit about me. I'm a business coach, speaker, author, and former vice president of consulting for Tony Robbins with his Business Mastery brand. And so I've been helping business owners for over 20 years to add a zero to their business. Now, some of my clients have been startups and they've gone from startup to six figures. And then I've helped people go from 6 to 7 figures and even from six all the way to 8 figures. So I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I've broken down that are what are the things that those people are doing consistently that have helped them make this leap. Now, a little bit about the Add a Zero system. There's 7 steps to it, and we're going to be going over several of these today. The first is mindset, which we'll dig in today because my background with Tony Robbins, I know how important it is that mindset that blocks you at every level, we're going to bust through that today. The second thing is hidden profits. These are the things in your business that you just can't see for yourself that help you boost your profits very quickly without doing more marketing and advertising. The third thing is perfect clients, which we're going to be discussing more in depth. And then strategic positioning. How can you position your offer to stand out even in a commoditized market? And that leads me to the offer, how to package and price things. So for example, one of my clients in my mastermind last year went from $1,500 per average sale to $2,500 per average sale, which helped her double her business without the hustle and without doing more hours. And then we're going to also dig into stacked marketing today. And then the last process in adding a zero to your business is optimizing that sales process so that every step of your sales process from when somebody signs up as a lead to when they come on board as a client is really optimized to get you more conversions and more results. So we don't have time to cover all of these today, but I want to dig into the 3 most important today so that you get a real things that you can walk away with and actually do in your business. All right. Now I want to tell you a little bit about why it's without the hustle. So this is me when I was little with my dad, who was my hero. And unfortunately, my dad passed away when he was 56 years old. Now, the older I get, the younger that seems. And the thing is that when he passed away, it really made me realize that life was really short. And I did not want to be like my dad, who was always trying to make more money, grow companies without having the life that I wanted. And so my goal and my mission is to give entrepreneurs back to their families. Now, I've been really, creative and consistently looking at how I can design a business and life that I love, like being able to be at my daughter's school on field trips with her, boating with our family at our lake house, and then being able to do some of the things on my bucket list, which I dragged my husband into, like riding a horse on a beach. So that's what I want for you to be able to do is whatever's important for you to be able to create that at the same time you scale your business and grow your business. Now, today, what we're going to dig into is 3 of the areas to add a zero to your business. And these, I think, are going to give you some real good pivot points that you can really take from today's presentation. I want you to take action, not just listen or watch this. So the first thing is mindset. The second is strategic positioning. And then the third is stacked marketing. So let's dig in. All right. So because of my work with Tony Robbins, I know how important mindset is. It doesn't matter if you haven't made your first dollar, your first euro or pound, but what it matters is that you have this mindset that you're going to grow your business and add a zero no matter what. Now, you might be saying, well, it's, this year has been really rough and really hard to do, but I'm going to show you some examples of what happens if you decide to have that growth mindset. All right. So some of you are not from the US, but you've probably still heard of these companies, Kellogg's and Post. Now, at the beginning of the Great Depression, they were nose to nose, right? They were at the same level. And what happened was at the beginning of the Great Depression, Post decided to cut their costs. And that included marketing and advertising. Now, some of you might be thinking the same thing this year, like, okay, what can we cut back? Kellogg's, on the other hand, doubled their ads and launched a new product. And I'm going to share with you what happened from this. All right. So by 1933, Kellogg's was up 30%. Post has never caught up to this day. So in 2020, 70 years later from the Depression, Kellogg's is valued at 22 billion and Post is valued at 6 billion, right? So they still both grew, but Kellogg's got ahead, right? Instead of being at nose to nose. So this is what I want for you and your company to get that mindset of like, okay, things are difficult. There's some people that aren't buying, but I'm going to keep doing my marketing and keep doing my advertising and keep moving forward in growth mindset. And you might be thinking, Stacey, who the heck is buying right now? Right? And here's who. We are going to start focusing on that top 20%. Now, this is the Pareto principle that 20% of anything accounts for 80% of it. So if you look at 20% of the students, they're contributing the most in class. If it's your customers, 20% of your customers are going to account for 80% of your profits. So I want you to start focusing on this 20% as opposed to the whole group of clients that you've been working with or marketing to. Now, when you start marketing to your perfect clients, here's what happens. First of all, they buy more. They love you. They love your products. They love your services. And what happens is they start investing in almost everything you offer. So when I have a client that's worked with me in the past and, I've launched a new program, they're there. They want to find out about it, right? I have people actually texting me and DMing me saying like, hey, what's coming up next? I want to find out. Now, the other thing that's great about your perfect clients, and this is for your ROI, is they have a higher lifetime value per client, which means that you're not spending as much time to have to always get new clients, but also you can spend more on your marketing because of that higher lifetime value. Now, the thing is that with my coaching clients, I always warn people that when you come for a coaching, I have clients that have been with me for over 13 years, right? So it's a very high lifetime value per client because they're getting great results, right? So when you're working with those perfect clients, you're going to have a higher lifetime value. And then the third thing I love about perfect clients is they refer other perfect clients, right? And we all know that referrals buy faster, they're easier to sell to, and they're more profitable because you don't have to pay to do the marketing. All right. So who are your perfect clients? Now, one of the things is to be really, really clear about this. And when you're really clear, what happens is that your perfect clients are going to see that you're talking to them. When you're very vague and like, oh, I work with everyone, then people don't feel like you're their person, right? So if you're working B2C, you want to figure out what are their ages? What are their demographics? Do they have kids? How old are their kids? Are they a soccer mom? Are they a gymnastics mom? Are they driving a certain car? Are they going to certain shops? Which neighborhoods are they at? So you might look at, if you're in a certain area, which parts of town do they live in? Okay. Now, if you're B2B, that you're working with businesses and selling to businesses, you want to look at how many years have they been in business? What type of company do they have? And how many employees do they have? And it could be the niche that they're in as well. So when you know this, then you can start to target your marketing directly to these people. Now, after you've determined who they are, we need to look at where are they, right? So what social media are they using? So for example, LinkedIn, I've found lots of my perfect clients on LinkedIn, even Facebook, right? Not so much on some of the other social media platforms. What websites do they go to? Which podcasts do they listen to? Now, this is for B2B and B2C because you should be able to find your people online and know what they do and know where they go, right? Now, what do they like? Now, a lot of them have magazines that they subscribe to, even today. What TV shows do they watch? Now, this is fun because as you see other people talking about the shows that they watch and talking about what they read and brands they like, there starts to become an affinity with your clients that they're like, oh my gosh, they feel like they know you. It's funny because when I look at some of the people that I've invested in, they really share a lot of what they do personally, and it makes you feel like you know them. Okay. So you want to find the people what they like and then Also share what you like, and you'll be attracting more people that are like you. Okay. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of this is where you need to get out your pen and pencil and really drill down on this. So, what I like to do is get a piece of paper, draw a line right down the middle. On the left side, we're going to write down what are the pains, the challenges, and what keeps my perfect clients up at 3 a.m. Okay. So, for example, with my perfect clients, I know that they're high achievers. I know that they have big goals. I know that for the most part, they're B2B businesses that have been in business for at least 3 years. They're at 6 or 7 figures, right? So, what are the pains and challenges that those people are having? Well, a lot of them right now are struggling with the fact that they're working and they don't have a life, right? And they feel in order to grow their business, in order to double their sales or add a zero, they feel like I can't work any harder. I can't work any longer, right? The other thing that my perfect clients say is that they know they have a lot of potential. They know that their business has a lot of potential, and they feel like they're using this much of their potential, right? They know that they are only using this much. But other people, when they see my perfect clients, would say, oh my gosh, this person is so successful. And that's one of their pains, is that they feel like everybody sees them as successful, but they know that they're just using this much of their potential. Okay. So, what are their goals and what are their wants and needs? What is it that they want to move towards? So, my clients want to increase their sales. They want to increase their profit. They want to scale. They want to get more clients more easily. They need to stop being like 24/7 in their business. Okay. So I want you to do this for your business, because when I've done this for my clients, like I said, I'm sharing with you exactly what I did with my clients that went from 6 figures to 8 figures. This is the exact things we did. We figured this out for them. Okay. Now, what I want to tell you is when you know this, then you can speak in the language to what they want. Okay. So, with one of my clients, I'll just give you an example. It's kind of off the wall. But what we discovered doing this exercise, he sells pizza to school nutrition programs. Now, what that means is that he's dealing with other quote unquote businesses, the school directors, nutrition directors. And when we did this exercise, we discovered that their pain is that they need to increase their profits and participation in the lunchroom, or else the management company will come in and take over the cafeteria, right? So when we started, instead of calling up and saying, hey, do you need more pizza? Which nobody needs more pizza, right? Because it's a commodity, right? Everybody has pizza in their school. So what we did is we would say, hey, do you need more profits and participation in your lunch program? Everybody would stop and take a breath and be like, okay, tell me more about that, right? As opposed to just hanging up the phone. So this is how what we do with this exercise really helps you stop being a commodity and get your perfect clients to stop and want to know more. All right. So let's dig into the stacked marketing. Okay. So stacked, strategic, targeted, has a call to action, consistent, has KPIs that you can track. We educate the buyer and we distribute everywhere. And I'm going to walk you through all of this so that you can see how to apply this to your business. All right. So strategic. So we just talked about the pizza example, right? And how he was more strategic. Instead of saying pizza, he talked about, profits and participation, right? So how can you have a unique strategic position that eliminates your competition? I'm going to give you another example from one of my clients that went from 6 figures to 8 figures using these strategies. Now, what he did, he was in logistics. And if you know anything about logistics, is that logistics is you call, you send email blasts, and you're trying to get people that want to take their stuff from A to B. And what was happening is my client was competing against huge companies that really, those people had dialing for dollars, right? They would just call up and say, hey, let me quote you, let me quote you, let me quote you, right? Now, my client didn't have the lowest price, right? Because he was a smaller firm. And he didn't have a sales team to go out and dial for dollars, 24/7. So what we had to do is get more strategic so that he could eliminate his competition, these $100 million, $1 billion firms he was competing against. So what we did is that exercise that we just did, right? Go back to that, make sure you've done that, their pain and their wants. And what we discovered through doing that exercise is that most companies that were selling equipment, and we're talking about very expensive equipment, were really annoyed with the delivery of said equipment, right? So the client had spent $100,000, $1 million on that piece of equipment. And when the equipment was delivered, it was a mess, right? For example, if it was a hospital, the hospital would shut down their wing to get the delivery of this equipment and, not take any appointments for that day. And then the equipment would come and it wasn't set up correctly. The parts weren't right. It was left in the hall. It was just a mess. So when we did this exercise of the pain and the pleasure, what they wanted to go towards, we realized that end client satisfaction could be a game changer and eliminate the competition. So now instead of saying, let me quote you, we've talked about, let me ask you a question. How important is end client satisfaction to you? So now instead of logistics being a cost of doing business, logistics was a value add to doing business, that when something was delivered, your client is happy, wants to buy from you again, and is even referring you to other, people because of the fact that they were happy at the end, right? So this also increases the lifetime value of the buyer for his clients. So again, very strategic, eliminates all of his other competition because they're not talking about this. All right, so let's dig into T, targeted at your perfect client. So whatever you're doing for your marketing needs to be where they are, right? We talked about that in perfect clients. Where are they? What platforms are they on? Are they, reading emails? Are they, some of them are reading magazines. Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram? Where are they? Then you want to have that messaging that talks to them, very targeted. All right. A, this is where I see a lot of people missing the boat. So when people first come to me for coaching, what we see is that they're saying, Stacey, I'm doing all the things, and it's not working. And this is one of the reasons why, they don't have that strategic messaging. So they're just in the clutter, right? And then even if they break through that clutter, they don't have a call to action. So what is the action that you want them to take? Now, this doesn't mean that every single time you post something or share something that it has to be like, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. We don't want that, because then people will tune you out. But you want to ask them to take an action, ask them a question, right? If you ask them a question and they respond to you, they're engaging with you, they're giving you their time, right? It's a micro yes. We're building up micro yeses so that when you get to the big yes, they're going to say yes. So ask them to comment, ask them to like, share, or subscribe to something. Ask them to book a consult or to opt into your mailing list. And then the last thing is to buy, right? So as you're doing this, you're getting those micro yeses that lead up to the bigger yes, that's a buy. All right, consistent. Now, this is something that, a lot of people talk about with exercise, right? And it's the minimum must do. Like, it's not what you do sometimes that counts, it's what you do consistently. So I like to talk about your minimum must do. What is your weekly mix? What do you have to do each and every week? So for example, I do a weekly video every week, and that has to happen. Are you doing emails every week? Are you doing how many of them? Are you doing posts every day? So create that weekly mix of, like, you're going to do one video, you're going to do a post every day, you're going to ask a question, you're going to post on this platform or that platform, but put down what is that minimum must do. Like, for example, for myself, it's like I have to do 20 minutes a day of exercise, even if it's a horrible day and I have no time. That is the minimum, right? So the same thing with your marketing, to create that minimum, and that's going to help you get the momentum that you need because you're being consistent with it, right? Because it's always easy to skip a day or skip a week, and then pretty much that your marketing has gone off the rails. Now, what happens is a lot of my clients, they get really busy with new clients. And this is the point that you need to make sure that you have your minimum must do. And what happens is that they fill their business with clients. They're doing client service, client work, depending on what kind of business they're in. And so what happens is their marketing falls down. And that's when you get in that feast or famine. And you see that over and over again. People get really, really busy, don't market, and then they don't have any clients in their pipeline or prospects. So that's why the minimum must do has to happen, whether you're busy or not, all the time consistently. All right, KPIs. What are your key performance indicators that you are tracking? Now, Peter Drucker, management consultant, rock star, says what gets measured gets managed, right? So if you're not looking at your KPIs, you're not able to see what's working, what's not working. And so what I want you to look at is pay attention to the numbers. What kind of posts are getting you the most return on investment? Are people commenting? Are people sharing? What is happening that is working, right? You have Google Analytics, you have your email list. You can track how many new people you're bringing into your email list. You can look at leads. You can look at appointments booked for consults or sales calls, and you can look at how many new clients you have and then what those sales are. Now, one of the things I like to track is the average sale. So you want to look at what that average sale is, and then the lifetime value, like how long are they going to stay with you? And how much are they going to spend? Now, what you'll see, like with the people in my mastermind, is their lifetime value was here. And then after a year of working together, their lifetime value went way up. It doubled. Okay. So look at and pay attention to your numbers. And that's where you're going to be able to see what you need to adjust and what you need to improve. All right. E stands for educate. Educate the buyer. Okay. So right now there's so much marketing going on. It's coming at them 24/7, right? Now, one of the things about buying is people buy for logic and they buy for emotion. So they're buying left brain, right brain. And what happens a lot of times is that they'll make a decision on one of those, right? So depending on the personality type that you're dealing with, they might buy based on emotion or they might buy based on logic. Now, what happens is when you combine both the logic and the emotion, you have somebody that's a better buyer, right? Because they're happier with their purchase and you're going to have a better stick rate. So you want to combine both the logic and the emotion in your marketing. Now, one of my mentors, Chet Holmes, who is partners with Tony Robbins, always talked about doing market data, not product data. So what is it in the industry that you can talk about, not just about your product? Talk about how research that's not your research, it's from somebody else, because it's going to be more believable. Okay. And then add in some case studies, stories, and testimonials. Now, I worked with Russell Brunson a few years ago, founder of ClickFunnels, the $100 million software company. And what he always did so well is do stories and testimonials. So I remember when I went to join his program, there were several different testimonials and they were on video. And I really resonated with one of those testimonials. And I remember talking to other people in the program, and different people had, different testimonials that resonated with them, right? So that's why you want to have both. You want to have the logic and the emotion, right? People that were like, here's where I was and gave step by step and gave numbers. And then other people were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. It was, transformative, right? So it's logic and emotion. And when you mix both of those, you're going to appeal to both types of buyers. All right. D stands for distribute everywhere. Okay. Now this is, Dan Kennedy, marketing mentor, said the most dangerous number in business is 1. Okay. And this I've seen play out over and over and over again in 20 years of coaching entrepreneurs. For example, one of my clients years ago, probably, 15, 20 years ago, was working with telemarketing, right? Overnight, the law changed about telemarketing. Government shut it down. And what happened was that he had to lay off like over 100 employees like the next day. He couldn't do it. And so his business dried up because he only had one method of marketing. So in that stack, you want to distribute this everywhere. Now, what you're going to see right now is there's the monoliths, right? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they can shut you down at any time, right? How many people have had their Facebook ads shut off, right? I've had that done a bunch of times, right? How many people have, like, I've lost my Instagram all of a sudden because I've unfollowed too many people, right? So you want to diversify and distribute everywhere. Now, the other thing here with the distribute is to drive traffic back to your site and capture their contact details. Okay. Because again, you don't want to be dependent on just what other companies having your prospect data. Okay, so distribute everywhere, have your list of places that you're distributing and marketing on, and then drive that traffic back to you and your website and capture their contact details. Okay, so we've gone through stacked marketing. So give you some specific ways that you can improve your marketing and just run it through this checklist. Is it stacked? And that's going to help you avoid that feast or famine. All right. Now, it's been awesome with you here, guys, today. But what I want you to remember is don't just learn. Implement, because you're not going to be able to add a zero to your business. You're not going to be able to create that lifestyle that you want to have more freedom in your business if you don't implement. So write down what you're going to implement and by when on your piece of paper. And I'd love if you share it with me. Now, here, all you need to do is your phone, right? And just take a picture of this, and it'll allow us to connect on LinkedIn. So it's a great way for us to talk to each other. Let me go back there just so you have another second to grab that. So all you need to do is take a quick picture of that, and it'll connect us on LinkedIn. Easy peasy. You don't have to search. Then, if you want more help in your business to add a zero and still have that freedom and the lifestyle that you want, book a call with me. Go to staceyhylen.com and we will jump on the phone and we will look at what you need to shift in your business. Like, what are the things that you need to do? Because, you can't see it for yourself. That's why I have a coach as well, because I can't see my stuff, right? So, book a call. It'll ask you, there's an application to see if we're a good fit to work together. A few questions that allow us to see if it's a good fit for you and me. And get on that phone call. We'll look at what you need to do to add a zero. What are the things that are stopping you? What are the things that you need to do, and help you make a plan for what you need to do going forward. So it's been great being here with you today. Reach out and connect with me. And remember, don't just learn, implement.